And then the stories are enjoyable, the characters are fun, and I can't recommend the series highly enough. Hey guys, welcome back to Good Clean Reads. I'm excited to finally be doing another review after a bit of a hiatus, and the series I am reviewing is the Amazing Tales of Max and Liz and the Epic Order of the Seven series. So technically the first 3 books that make up the Epic Order of the Seven series, which there are technically 8 books in that series with the 9th on the way. They are entitled The Ark 3 and the Fire Cloud, The Dream and the Scheme and the Robe, The Prophet, the Shepherd and the Star, The Roman, the 12 and the King, The Wind, the Road and the Way, The Fire, the Revolution and the Fall, The Voice, the Revolution and the Key, The Declaration, the Sword and the Spy, and the 9th book will be called The Marquis, the Escape and the Fox. Because there are so many books, I'm just reviewing the first 3, and then I'll hope to finish reviewing the series eventually. These stories follow 7 animal characters as they go on missions for the Maker throughout history. It's a very fun series full of, well, like the back cover said, wit, whimsy, heartache, tragedy, triumph, and biblical truth. Speaking of which, I'm going to actually read the back cover of the first book, and you can find the back covers of these 2 on my website, goodcleanreads.com. Wit, whimsy, heartache, tragedy, triumph, and biblical truth. A magical adventure of animals traveling worldwide to Noah's Ark. Max, a Scottish terrier, takes his usual morning trot down to the loch, where he hears a mysterious voice humming in the reeds saying, "Come to me, follow the fire cloud." He embarks on an unknown journey from Scotland, meeting other animals along the way, including Liz, a brilliant petite black cat from France. Max and Liz become the brave leaders for their group, and eventually for the entire ark. The mysterious journey, filled with danger, humor, trials, and triumphs, leads them across Europe to the Middle East. The moment of arrival for these animals is spectacular, as the ark is miraculously transformed into the animals' natural habitats. Throughout the previous 100 years, Noah and family have endured ridicule from villagers while building the ark. Now this family must painfully witness the loss of lives and total destruction of the earth through the mighty flood. After the journey to the ark, the voyage in the ark begins. Liz finds a way to keep the animals occupied, including daily exercise led by the flamingos, and a tale at night where animals entertain each other with their natural abilities. But a sinister plot develops. Someone is out to kill Noah and his family. Liz follows clues that lead her to discover a stowaway who has deceived them all. Max and Liz foil the plot, but at a high price. The end climaxes with unexpected twists and turns, taking the reader from despair to hope. I can tell you from personal experience, the climax does indeed climax with twists and turns, taking you from despair to hope. It's well written. I'm going to do this review a little bit different. Instead of detailing the content concerns on camera, they're on the blog, goodcleanreads.com, and you can find them there on the blog post entitled The Epic Order of the Seven series by Jenny L. Cote Review, Part 1. And instead I'm going to talk about what the books are about, why I liked them, whether or not I think they're good books, etc. So, to start, what I liked. Mrs. Cote does extensive, and I mean extensive, research about each of the books. She likes them to remain as historically accurate as possible, and includes an author's note. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to use this one, how about? An author's note in the back of the book that explains what's historical, what she added that's fiction, and it's really cool. So, entitled A Word from the Author, she talks about what's historically accurate, what's not. Sometimes there are some extra facts included that didn't make it in the book, but that are really cool to read. She also includes a glossary in the back of the book, because sometimes the animal characters they're from different countries, and so they use occasionally in their speech different languages, which are cool. They're simple phrases, so if you don't know what they mean, it doesn't really distract from the story. But she always includes in the back a list of the terms and phrases used and what they mean. And in the first book, because animals from all around the world are coming to the Ark, she includes a list of what animals come from which country, and then also what the different phrases they used mean. So I thought that was such a cool extra addition to each of the books, and it made reading the stories that much more fascinating. Then the stories themselves are really good, well-written stories. The Ark Being the Fire Cloud follows Genesis 6 through 9 from the animals' point of view as they head to the Ark following the fire cloud. The whole way she's written the story is very imaginative. It's very, it's a good story. The main characters have great character arcs that I didn't notice when I was younger. But as I was rereading the book, I'm like, wow, these are well-written character arcs. So I like reading character arcs, and these ones were well-written. Liz's character arc was her coming to put more faith in the Maker. Max's was learning to not rely on himself and continuing to rely on the Maker. So I thought that was really cool. The whole way she imagined the story of the Ark and the way the Ark transforms when the animals come onto the Ark, it was a very well written book. It's a good first book to the series. The Dreamer, the Schemer, and the Road follows Genesis 37 through 46, barring chapter 38. We meet Nigel, a new addition to the animal team of Max, Liz, Kate, and Al, and Gilliman. And this time, the animals have to help Joseph. What was really fascinating in this one is there are two very strong storylines here. In this one, she follows very much the animals headed to the Ark and then what happens on the Ark. But in this one, she not only has to follow the story of what the animals are doing on their mission, but she follows the story of Joseph and then what's going on with Joseph's brothers. So there's the fantasy animal storyline, and then the more prominent human, so to speak, historical storyline. And she weaves them together so well. And the story of Joseph, it's very well written. And you learn a lot about ancient Egypt. So that was just a fun bonus of this book. The Prophet, the Shepherd, and the Star follows a far greater expanse of history than the first two books. These focused on a single story in the Bible. The Prophet, the Shepherd, and the Star follows from Isaiah all the way to the birth of Christ and a little bit after that when they flee to Egypt. She did a great job not bogging the story down with "and then time passed" or things like that. The story of the book follows those 400 years very well. It's a very clear story that follows the 400 years without becoming bogged into time passed and then they waited or things like that. You get to follow Isaiah and Jeremiah, and you meet Daniel and Hezekiah and Mary, Joseph, and then baby Jesus. Another fun part is as I was reading this book, I was actually also reading some of the same books of the Bible as I was reading. So it was like I was reading the book of Isaiah a little bit after I read this book, or the book of Jeremiah, or Daniel. And so it was just kind of fun to read the scripture and then read how Mrs. Cote translated it into this book. Biblical truths are, these books are kind of soaked in them, but the storyline of the book is still very well written. Another nice thing about these books is there aren't very many content concerns at all. Being that it follows biblical history, there are some hard topics, like when after the birth of Christ, Herod ordered the killing of all babies 2 years old and younger. But I think she handles it in an age-appropriate manner. Sins are written as sins and is something that makes God sad and disappoints God. And the books always point to God as who we need to be going to for salvation. But I would just recommend checking the content concerns section on goodcleanreads.com just in order to see what some of those difficult things are, just because it is following history, and so that was actually part of the story that happened. But I do think she does a good job handling those topics in an age-appropriate manner. Some of the scenes between a hero and a villain could be a bit intense for younger children or for sensitive kids. But all in all, the Epic Order of the Seven series is a great choice for families, especially families wanting to keep their children's hearts pure and their minds focused on Christ. It's a very good series to read, especially in our current culture, because it covers biblical truths, and it covers biblical truths relevant to what's going on around us, though even though they're talking about ancient Egypt or Genesis or Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, etc., birth of Christ. So I definitely recommend these books. It's a very well-written, fun, enjoyable series. Another thing about these books is they make biblical history come alive, and they actually make you want to go dig out your own Bible and read the stories for yourself. And then the stories are enjoyable, the characters are fun, and I can't recommend the series highly enough. Thank you so much for watching my review of The Amazing Tales of Max and Liz and the first book in the Epic Order of the Seven series. I'd appreciate if you'd like the video, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, comment below, all of that good stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and bye.